Hi, Rick. It's good to see you this
Jamie,
year.
a real pleasure to see you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for making time for us.
My pleasure.
I wanted to catch up on this year because I know you have a great show coming. I know that you have a local group of gallerists
Yes.
with special projects. Could you go into some of those galleries
Sure,
a
of
little
course.
bit?
Well, this year it's actually a streamlined version from last year because we heard that there were so many dealers last year, we wanted to actually shrink the show down. So it's 77 dealers down from 97 last
Oh,
year.
okay.
So it's going to be a more cogent experience to actually explore the floor. 77 dealers. They are from 10 countries around the world. So it's
Wow.
really international.
Wow.
And believe it or not, we actually have 11 dealers coming from London.
That I saw.
It's amazing.
I was very impressed with this because could you name a couple of the galleries for
Well,
dealers
sure.
for us?
We have, Waterhouse and Dodd and Huckleberry and Rebecca Hussack and Cynthia Corbett.
And what made
long
you
and
go
long.
after London?
They came after us.
Really?
I think the word got around that the Hamptons is a great market because people are sophisticated, they know art, they buy art, they're art savvy, they're international in scope and thinking, and it's just a natural market for them. So as the art galleries in London look to expand for new markets outside of London, outside of Europe, where do they land? They land in Montauk. I mean, they land in the
that's
Hamptons,
smart.
So
Like
that
when they
comes,
landed in Southampton many years
right,
ago.
many years ago. So the British are coming. As I've been running up and down the streets, but nobody believes me. But they will believe me July 7, 8, 9, 10 when they see 11.
That's very
galleries from there.
exciting because, as far as I understand it, London is the art center of the world currently for sales, for larger sales and acquisitions and gallery activity.
Well, I don't.
You may know that
might-
better than I.
Well, that might be the case. I mean, certainly New York is the epicenter,
Right.
of America, and London is probably the epicenter of Europe. But they're just looking for new markets and looking to expand, and the dealers that have been here have done really well, have sold really well. Went
Right.
back and told their colleagues, "My God, this is great! And
Right.
we found the new America." And
that's
so they're coming here,
interesting.
so that's good. But to get back to your question, yes, we have local galleries too as well, and we have stalwarts as like Mark Borghi, Fine Art, and Eric Firestone in East Hampton, and Richard D'Amato in Sag Harbor, and Kessler in Southampton, and Burnham Wood in East Hampton, and so we have locals as well, and that's important. So we want to have a flavor of locals, national and international. So that's really important.
Well, the locals here are not like the locals in some local markets either. Okay,
Right.
and they're carrying nationally known in some
Sure.
cases or very well respected East End artists.
Sure.
But what I found interesting is I had noticed that you had these London galleries coming in and that you had sold out. And I know that part of this has to be due to your success in other markets. You had success in Aspen this year, correct?
Well, actually, last year we have produced shows now in August. We go from here to August 6, 7, 8 to Art Aspen, which is produced in cooperation with the Aspen Art Museum during the big Art Crush Party Weekend, which is a big party weekend.
Wow.
That's really a spectacular event. But it's almost like a private event. There's 30 dealers in an ice skating rink that we convert to a museum with 2,000 buyers, and it's a very high-end,
wow, how
private
lovely.
kind of show. We also have done the San Francisco Fine Art Fair in Fort Mason with 70 dealers and 16,000 people came.
Which one was that?
The San Francisco
Oh, the
Fine Art
San
Fair in
Francisco.
Fort Mason.
Sorry,
That's
sorry,
a
Rick.
successful
Okay.
event that we've done. And this year we're launching a new show in Houston, Texas, called the Houston Fine Art Fair. And that's at a big convention center there, the George Brown Convention Center. It's in partnership with the City of Houston and the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, the big museum there. They really wanted it.
That's an important museum.
First time ever show, first time ever. They've been waiting 150 years for a show, and
Wow.
it's a major event. We expect about 80 dealers, which we're just about sold out. We have actually been. The show has very high qualities. It's sort of as I call it, Pinta meets Pulse meets the Armory Show in Texas.
Oh, wow.
That's sort of how I'm
Okay.
explaining it, and it's very high end, very sophisticated
Right.
show. Not everybody's. We've had a ton of applications. Probably 40 people will not be making the show this year. It's just an incredible. So we think this is going to be the hot new show in
Yeah.
America this year, and that is September 15, 16, 17, 18 in Houston.
And who
Houston.
are some of the galleries that will be there?
We haven't announced them all yet. We just sort of keep it private. But with people like Hollis Taggett will be there. People like Joel Melberg will be there. Louis Stern will be there. William Sherborne from St. Louis will be there, and then a whole contingent from Latin America. It'll be about 15 dealers from Latin America.
Yeah, that should be
South
a good
America,
show. Yeah.
and coming in, and a whole bunch from Miami. So it's really going to be and some from Europe. So
When I first went to the first Miami show, all those guys used to come in on their private jets,
Right.
and they bought anything and everything. They would just go in and buy. It was like a buying frenzy, and that's a phenomenally lovely crowd to attract.
Well, sure. I think the Latin American market has played Miami for many years. They've sort of been there, done that.
Yeah.
And it's gone on for maybe 10 years. And it's a great market, and they saturated. And again, they're also looking for new markets. And as they look around America, there's a tremendous, strong Latin American population, the buying population in Houston. The Museum of Fine Arts Houston has a major department in Latin American art. They probably are the #1 purchaser of Latin American art in America. They buy very aggressively. They make or break the careers of many artists and galleries. So they're in fact, that department is working very closely with us.
Oh, excellent.
Helps us and bolsters us to really bring that,
Excellent.
bring that in. And so their endorsement is really important. They also have their own collector. They have 100 top collectors that are part of a group, and they're bringing them all. We're going to have a party for them there. So it's
Right, well, that's that #1 zip code in America, with the McMansions. It's a beautiful area.
It's a beautiful area.
And I know people who live in that area who have built these houses, and they do look for art on a continual basis.
It's really there are some of the major art collectors in America actually who live in Houston, and the advisory board that we have and the host committee reads like an all-star team, and they're really committed to the show. And I have some friends that have a budget of $3 to $5 million a year to buy art.
That's great, though.
So they're constantly looking
That's
for things.
fabulous. So it's more or less, it's actually established up and coming. That critical reinvention, the critical finding of a new market of established artists.
Right.
With good museum credentials and good collection credentials.
Sure. And a lot of people don't know this, but Houston is the 4th largest city in America.
Oh, yeah.
With a chance to become the 3rd largest city, they think they're going to pass Chicago. They see themselves as the 3rd largest art collecting market in America. So
That's
it's a huge untapped. There's 100 museums. 100 museums in Houston. And the city is very committed to promoting arts and promoting coming to Houston for the arts. They have a huge budget for that. And they want to sort of turn it into the new Miami kind of art scene of people coming in to do that. And there's 65 galleries there. So it's a major art center that people have sort of overlooked. As people have flown from New York to LA, they've passed over Houston in a sense. So they don't really realize that there's a whole market there.
Texas was almost recession-proof.
You know,
Not quite, but almost.
As they like to say, it's all Earl money down there, and it's done really well, and it has been recession-proof. They've done very well in the oil market. A lot of dollars going into art right now, and it's been there.
Well, that museum hosted the American Association of Museum Curators in '93 or '94.
Right.
And they started to articulate their statement academically at around that time.
Right. And they're doing it this weekend?
Oh, really? Again? Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, doing it this
how
weekend.
Lovely.
It's a major thing in Houston.
Yeah.
They're very excited to be hosting that. And I think we're involved with it on some levels. We're throwing some parties down there.
Perfect. Perfect.
But it's a big market. They're very committed. And, I think it's going to be one of the more exciting new fairs in America.
Yeah. Well, I know it's a wonderful... when I was doing curatorial work, when I was working with museums, I was a member, and another girl, that was a friend, said, come on down. But I was in Geneva, and I came through Chicago, and it was a little too much flying that month. And I opted out, which is probably... I probably would have been happier going, because I think the growth of that market began at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm sure some of the ties are long-time ties at this point. And it spread because of the academics were so sound and so good.
Right. That's exactly right. I mean, as you know, that museum is the 800-pound gorilla in town, and they have 38,000 members, which they're going to be inviting to the show and throwing all kinds of private parties.
Oh, how
It's really
lovely.
spectacular. And doing a private tour for our VIPs in the museum. So they're very well committed. And come as my guest. Come down and see
thanks.
it.
Yeah, I would
You'll
love
have a
to.
great time there.